Have you ever found yourself in that moment where um, the perfect English response forms in your mind, clear as day,
Hmm.
but then when you open your mouth, it doesn't come out right?
Oh, definitely.
Or maybe you do speak, but your voice is so quiet, you hear that familiar, what did you say? Repeated
Oh,
more times than you'd like.
it's a remarkably common experience, I find, that internal struggle, the feeling of ideas just locked behind a wall of hesitation.
Absolutely. Welcome to English Life Skills Hub.
Great to be here.
We're here to help you not just learn English, but truly inhabit it with confidence. Today, we're really getting into the heart of what it means to speak English fluently and confidently.
Yeah, we've looked at this a lot, haven't we? Drawing from years of working with English
We
learners.
have. And what consistently comes up is this. Knowing all the words, all the grammar, it isn't quite enough if you lack the confidence to actually let your voice be heard.
Exactly. We spent quite a bit of time exploring the sort of psychological side of confident communication, and we'll be sharing what we've learned, maybe even some of our own, well, breakthrough
Oh,
moments.
definitely getting personal today.
Hmm.
And the mindset shifts that we've seen really make a difference for people.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're preparing for, say, a critical job interview, or maybe you're eager to connect with new friends.
Or just tired of feeling invisible in conversations, right?
Exactly. Our aim today is really to help you reframe your whole approach to speaking English.
So let's explore these fundamental dynamics that really shape confident English speaking.
Okay, so a big question we often encounter, and maybe one that might surprise some of you listening, what holds more weight in communication perfect grammar or confidence?
Well, from what I've consistently observed just in professional settings day to day, confidence wins, almost unequivocally. Yeah. I mean, I've encountered individuals with impeccable grammatical accuracy, like truly flawless. But
No.
because they were so nervous, they really struggled to, engage an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Conversely, I've seen speakers with, let's say, numerous grammatical quirks
Okay.
who absolutely captivated rooms. Just
Right.
because of their engaging and confident delivery, the message got through loud and clear, and people remembered them.
It's such an interesting phenomenon, isn't it? Our experience tells us that confidence itself kind of projects an aura of fluency, even if
Mhm.
your English is still, developing.
Precisely. When you embody confidence, your speech naturally gets a better rhythm, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You make better eye contact, your voice just carries more strength. And the shift, it subtly redirects the listener's focus towards your message, the substance of it,
Right.
rather than any minor linguistic imperfections. We've found the human brain, well, it prioritizes connection and meaning over perfect syntax.
I remember this one student from my early teaching days. Her grammatical structures, I have to admit, were often, well, let's just say experimental.
Uh-huh. I think I know the type.
Yet her sheer confidence and just how animated she was in her delivery, it commanded the entire class's attention. Everyone literally leaned forward, completely engrossed.
And let me guess, her progress probably outpaced some of the quieter students,
Hmm.
even if their grammar was technically better. That's often the case in our work.
Oh, without a doubt, because she was actively using the language, right?
Uh-huh.
Forming connections, inviting interaction, getting that invaluable real-time feedback.
Hmm.
It becomes this really powerful feedback loop.
Yeah.
Confidence opens doors to practice.
And practice is the direct path to fluency.
Yeah.
We really do see it as a self-reinforcing cycle.
Totally.
As your confidence grows, you naturally seek out more opportunities to speak. The more you speak, the more fluent you become.
And then that increasing fluency, it fuels even greater confidence. It builds on itself.
Yeah.
But the big question, the pivotal one, remains.
Yeah.
How do you actually start that cycle? How do you cultivate that foundational confidence? Because we know firsthand, confidence isn't something you're just born with.
No, definitely not. It's a skill. It's developed through deliberate shifts in perspective and practice. It's a journey we've, navigated ourselves too. And from our professional insights, that initial hurdle is often the toughest.
Oh, tell me about it. For me, earlier in my career, the thought of speaking in front of a group, even like small groups, it filled me with dread.
Really?
Yeah, my voice would waver, and I'd find myself fumbling for words that, honestly, in any other context, I knew perfectly well.
So what was the breakthrough for you? What allowed you to kind of push past that initial barrier?
I remember this one specific moment, actually. I was teaching a group of teenagers,
Yeah.
and they were, well, predictably full of youthful energy and noise.
Okay, I can picture it.
And I found myself raising my voice, getting louder and louder, trying to recapture their attention.
Oof.
The classic teacher's trap. And one we found rarely actually works in the long run.
Exactly. It wasn't working, so I just stopped speaking. Completely stopped.
Hmm.
The room gradually fell silent. And then, in a very calm, very measured tone, I just said, "When you're ready to listen, I'll continue." It
Wow.
was such a profound shift for me. I realized that true confidence isn't about volume, it's not about technical perfection. It's about the conviction deep down that your message holds value and
Yes.
that you deserve to be heard.
That realization is just, it's a cornerstone of effective communication. It's something we emphasize so much in our training.
From that moment, honestly, I stopped apologizing for my accent. I stopped prefacing every sentence with, "Sorry, my English isn't perfect." I just redirected my focus entirely onto the substance of what I was trying to communicate,
Right.
rather than fixating on potential errors. And what we consistently observed, what I saw, was a palpable shift in how people listened. They leaned in differently. So it was less about mastering some specific technique and more about a fundamental mindset recalibration, a shift inside.
Precisely. I stopped trying to mimic some ideal, this perfect native speaker image. And I began embracing the most authentic, effective version of myself.
Mhm.
And this is a core insight we really want to convey. You don't need to conform to some perceived ideal to communicate powerfully.
No.
Your unique voice, with all its nuances, that's what truly matters.
My own journey kind of echoes this. I remember this pivotal professional networking event years ago.
Okay.
I was standing in a corner, totally preoccupied with forming grammatically flawless sentences in my head, rehearsing.
Been there.
Meanwhile, a colleague from Germany, whose English was, shall we say, remarkably uninhibited.
I think I know where this is going.
He was the absolute center of attention, just holding court.
And let me guess, despite his creative grammar, he was the most magnetic person there.
You've seen this dynamic before, haven't you?
Yes.
He was telling jokes, asking really engaging questions, and just effortlessly building connections. He wasn't constrained by the fear of error at all.
Right.
If he didn't know a word, he'd describe it or use a gesture. If he wasn't understood, he'd just laugh and rephrase. He approached every interaction not as a test, something to pass or fail,
Yeah.
but as an adventure in connection, just
Yeah.
trying to understand and be understood.
And that energy, that sheer willingness to just jump in and engage, it's inherently attractive, isn't it?
Exactly. And at one point, he actually came over to me and just stated, quite simply, "Your English is very good. Why are you so quiet?"
Oh, wow. Direct.
It was such a profound moment of clarity for me. I realized I was so consumed by the pursuit of perfection that I had forgotten to simply be human, to connect.
That's such a profound trap, and one we've observed countless English learners fall into.
Yeah.
That perfectionism paralysis.
From that evening forward, my whole approach to conversations transformed. Instead of that internal script of, "Oh, I hope I don't make mistakes," my thought process shifted to something more like, I wonder what fascinating insights I'll gain from talking to this person.
And that redirect of focus, right, from internal anxiety about yourself to external curiosity about others,
Yeah.
it truly reshapes the entire experience, doesn't it?
Fundamentally, yeah. When you're genuinely curious about other people, the self-consciousness about your own performance it naturally recedes into the background.
Okay, let's delve into this pervasive issue of fear, because in our observations, this is often the single greatest hurdle, the biggest impediment to confident English speaking. Why do people harbor such profound fear about speaking English?
Well, a significant part of it, from our professional understanding, often traces back to traditional learning environments.
Right.
Many people learn English in classrooms where mistakes are immediately highlighted, pointed out, often publicly, and where the emphasis is just overwhelmingly on right and wrong answers.
Yes, and the reality is language acquisition isn't like a linear mathematical equation, is it? There are countless valid ways to express the same idea, each with its own slightly different nuance.
Exactly. And compounding this is that pervasive fear of judgment. Individuals often internalize this belief that if their English isn't perfect, somehow it will reflect negatively on their intelligence or their competence.
Well, what we consistently observe, just from working with people across so many different cultures, is actually a universal admiration for those who speak English as a second language,
Please.
even if it's not flawless.
That's so true.
The prevailing sentiment is often more like, wow, this person is bilingual. That's impressive.
Precisely. The courage it takes just to navigate communication in a non-native tongue is often seen as a significant achievement in itself.
And that insidious internal monologue, the one that whispers, you sound foolish, or everyone is evaluating you. That voice is rarely, if ever, actually reflecting reality. We recognize it as the manifestation of fear, really.
Yeah.
It's like a survival instinct trying to keep you safe in your comfort zone,
Yeah.
but it's counterproductive here.
So when a client voices that apprehension, but what if I make a mistake? What counsel do we usually offer? How do we help them pass that?
We encourage a process of sort of objective evaluation.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, okay, what is the absolute worst possible outcome here?
Right.
And in nearly every single instance, individuals realize the worst-case scenario is far, far less catastrophic than their fear suggests. Maybe, a polite request for clarification.
Or maybe needing to rephrase something.
Exactly. That's typically the extent of it. No public humiliation ensues.
And crucially, we found that most listeners are so focused on actually grasping your intended message, your meaning, that minor grammatical deviations often go entirely unnoticed.
Completely.
Their primary objective is just understanding what you're trying to say.
Okay, let's pivot then to some specific mindset shifts that, in our experience, fundamentally foster confident English speaking. What's a really foundational shift you advocate for?
I think it starts with redefining your identity. Stop conceiving of yourself as someone learning English and begin to internalize the identity of someone who speaks English.
Ooh, I like that.
Even if you're still on the path of refinement, still improving, the very act of speaking means you are an English speaker right now.
Yes. It's like the difference between saying, I'm trying to be a runner versus I'm a runner who's improving daily. That identity shift holds immense psychological power. It's subtle but strong.
Another pivotal mindset shift we really champion is to cease viewing conversations as a series of tests you have to pass, and instead perceive them as collaborative endeavors. You and your conversation partner, you're like partners, working together to achieve mutual understanding and exchange ideas. It's a team effort.
I find that perspective incredibly liberating. It takes the pressure off. And here's one that profoundly altered my own approach. Fully embrace your identity as a non-native speaker, rather than trying to somehow conceal it.
Okay, how do you articulate that concept? What does that mean in practice for our listeners?
It means your accent, your distinctive phrasing, the unique lens through which you express thoughts. These are not deficiencies. They're not flaws.
Right.
They are integral parts of your personal narrative, and they actually enrich the tapestry of your communication. Some of the most compelling communicators we've encountered are those who bring a truly global perspective, precisely because English isn't their first language.
And honestly, let's be real, the term native speaker doesn't inherently equate to perfect speaker anyway.
Not at all.
We've all encountered plenty of so-called native speakers who exhibit habitual verbal fillers or, frankly, questionable grammar. It's about effective communication, not flawless execution.
Exactly. And maybe a final significant shift.
Yeah.
Instead of instinctively avoiding conversations you perceive as difficult or challenging,
The temptation is strong.
actively seek them out. The topics that induce the most apprehension are, paradoxically, often the very ones that will catalyze your greatest growth. Push into that discomfort zone.
That insight can feel quite daunting, I know, but it's remarkably true. What would you offer to someone who thinks, okay, but I'm just not ready for those challenging conversations yet?
We would probably suggest you're more prepared than you imagine. You don't need to jump into debating quantum physics on day one, right?
No, probably not.
But perhaps, instead of merely ordering your coffee, try asking the barista how their day is unfolding. Just small extensions of your comfort zone lead to significant expansions over time.
Okay, let's delve into a factor that's often overlooked: the profound impact of your physical presence, your body language, on your speaking confidence.
Oh, this is an absolutely critical area. Your body language possesses this incredible power to actually imbue you with a sense of confidence, sometimes even before a single word leaves your lips.
Elaborate on that. What does that look like in practice? How does that work?
Well, consider this. Try slumping in your chair right now, gazing downwards, and sort of softly whispering, I am confident. Feel how that feels.
Okay, yeah, not very convincing.
Now, deliberately sit or stand erect, establish eye contact, maybe with an imaginary person, and articulate the same phrase with a strong, clear voice. I am confident. Can you perceive the inherent difference?
Oh, absolutely. It's quite remarkable how instantaneously your physical state can influence your psychological one. It's almost like your body is actively signaling to your brain how it should feel.
Precisely. It's a two-way street. When you adopt an open posture, maintain steady eye contact, and project your voice with clarity, Your brain starts to assimilate the belief, okay, I must be confident because my physical actions are congruent with confidence. Fake it till you become it almost.
So, what are some tangible body language recommendations for English speakers looking to boost that
Okay,
confidence?
first, posture. Whether you're standing or seated, occupy your space with purpose. Sit up straight, stand tall, as if you inherently belong in that conversation, which you do.
Right. Own your space.
Second, eye contact. Not an unwavering, intense stare,
Oh,
obviously,
no, please don't do that.
but a natural, friendly gaze that signifies engagement and connection.
Look at people when you talk to them and when they talk to you.
And voice projection, from our experience, is absolutely paramount.
Okay.
So important.
Indeed. Speak from your diaphragm. Really allow your voice to resonate rather than straining your throat. You know, when you frequently hear, sorry, what did you say?
Mm.
It's rarely an indictment of your English proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost always just a sign that your voice isn't carrying clearly enough. You need more volume, more breath support.
I certainly recall a time when my voice was so subdued that people would instinctively lean in, as if I were imparting some kind of clandestine secret, not exactly the embodiment of confident body language.
No. And here's another highly effective technique. Consciously incorporate gestures into your speech. We've observed that hand movements can actually help facilitate word retrieval and enhance the natural rhythm of your delivery.
That's fascinating. How does that mechanism actually work? Is there a reason for that? Well, when you engage your hands in communication, you actually activate distinct neural pathways in your brain. It gets more of your brain involved.
Yeah.
Moreover, if a specific word momentarily eludes you, your gestures can often convey the underlying concept,
Ah.
providing you valuable time to retrieve the precise vocabulary you're looking for. It buys you a second.
So it's almost like equipping yourself with supplementary communication tools beyond just words.
Exactly. And visually, it just projects an image of engagement and self-assurance, even if maybe a flicker of nervousness might still be present internally.
All right, let's provide some really actionable strategies now for actively cultivating confidence in English speaking. What's a favorite exercise you recommend?
Okay, I advocate for what we sometimes call the power pose practice. It sounds a bit silly maybe, but bear with me.
Okay, intrigued.
Prior to any significant interaction, like a job interview or presentation, even just a crucial phone call, dedicate literally 2 minutes to adopting a stance of power.
Like a superhero, perhaps, standing tall.
Precisely. Think Wonder Woman or Superman. Hands on your hips, feet shoulder-width apart, chin slightly elevated. It might feel a bit unusual initially, maybe even awkward, but we've seen compelling evidence, and there's research supporting this, that this kind of posture can actually influence your physiological state. It can boost testosterone, lower cortisol, promoting feelings of strength and assertiveness.
And this isn't just anecdotal, right? It aligns with certain understandings of psychophysiology, body-mind connection.
Absolutely. From our professional observations, these intentional physical shifts can genuinely impact your internal confidence. And when you feel more powerful, your vocal delivery naturally tends to reflect that self-assurance.
Okay, here's an exercise that I found incredibly impactful with people I work with. Maintaining a daily English wins journal.
Ooh. Tell us more about that practice. What does that involve?
It's simple, really. Each day, just jot down maybe 3 instances where you successfully navigated an English interaction. It could be small. Perhaps you fluently ordered a meal, or maybe someone genuinely understood a joke you told. Or perhaps you successfully integrated a new phrase you learned. The key here is the focus is exclusively on your successes, not on any perceived errors or stumbles.
I find that practice invaluable because our brains, they're naturally predisposed to sort of scrutinize what went wrong, aren't they? That negativity bias.
Exactly.
So we must intentionally reorient our attention to acknowledge and celebrate what went right. Train your brain to see the positives.
Exactly. And another powerful technique, the confident voice recording exercise.
Oh, intriguing. How do we implement that one?
You basically record yourself articulating positive affirmations in English, but crucially, ensuring your voice sounds like it conveys a genuine sense of confidence. Strong, clear, steady.
Okay, like what kind of phrases?
Phrases such as, I communicate clearly, or my ideas hold value, or I speak English confidently. Then make it a regular practice, maybe daily, to just listen back to these recordings of your own voice sounding strong.
Ah, so you were quite literally conditioning your brain to hear and internalize the sound of your own confident voice. That's clever.
Precisely. Over time, that self-generated confident vocalization becomes increasingly natural and more readily accessible in real-world conversations. It feels more familiar.
And here's maybe a final practice, perhaps the most challenging, especially for those inclined towards perfectionism.
Hmm.
The mistake celebration.
Okay, mistake celebration. That sounds counterintuitive.
It does. But when you inevitably make an error, because you will, we all do, instead of succumbing to embarrassment or frustration, try to consciously reframe it, acknowledge it, maybe even internally declare, excellent, I've just gained a valuable new insight, or great learning opportunity.
That's a significant mental hurdle for many people, I imagine, letting go of that shame around mistakes.
It truly is. But from our perspective, mistakes are not catastrophes. They are simply data points. Feedback. Each error provides specific information, illuminating a path toward further refinement and learning. They show you where to focus next.
Now, let's address a difficult reality. Occasionally, individuals may encounter, shall we say, judgmental or perhaps unkind corrections when they're speaking English. How do we advise managing those kinds of encounters?
That's a profoundly important question. Yeah, and one we approach with a lot of empathy because it can be really hurtful. First, it's crucial to remember that the vast majority of people you interact with are patient, supportive, and encouraging.
Right. Most people are kind.
However, isolated instances of impatience or even rudeness can unfortunately occur.
And those encounters, even if rare, can profoundly undermine confidence, particularly when someone is already feeling vulnerable about their speaking.
Absolutely. So our guidance is generally this. Try to remember that the other person's reaction is almost always a reflection of their own disposition, their own issues, maybe their own bad day.
Mm.
It's not actually a commentary on your worth or your English proficiency.
Right.
A genuinely empathetic and secure individual would never intentionally make someone feel diminished simply for making an effort to communicate in another language.
And perhaps remind yourself of the courage inherent in what you're doing speaking a second language. That critical person often struggles to articulate even a simple phrase in your native tongue.
Precisely. Perspective helps. And practically speaking, it can be really empowering to have a prepared, confident response ready. Something simple like, thanks, I'm still actively learning and I'm dedicated to improving, delivered with a calm, self-assured smile. It sort of takes the power back.
What about instances where the correction just feels condescending, like they're talking down to you?
Yeah, that's tough. A polite, brief, thank you for the clarification, and then very deliberately shifting the conversation forward can work. Yeah. Don't dwell on it. Do not allow their poor delivery or bad attitude to derail your internal sense of confidence.
Right.
While their approach might be lacking, maybe the information itself, the correction, might still be useful data. Separate the message from the messenger, if possible.
And always remember, for every single person who might react with impatience, there are invariably, 10, 20, 100 others who genuinely admire your bravery and determination in speaking English. Focus on them.
Exactly. And the core principle here, really, is that confident individuals don't permit the fleeting opinions or judgments of others to dictate their actions or their self-worth. You are speaking English for your own growth, your own connections, not primarily for external validation.
So, what final counsel would you offer to someone who has experienced a profoundly discouraging interaction, maybe got laughed at or harshly corrected, and is now really hesitant to even try again?
We would say first, acknowledge that it hurt. It's okay that it did. But please know that a single adverse experience does not define the entirety of your English journey.
No.
It's akin to falling off a bicycle when you're learning. You don't just abandon cycling forever, do you?
Right, you brush yourself off.
You get back on, maybe you adjust your approach, you learn from it, and you continue forward. Don't let one bump stop the whole trip.
And initially, perhaps seeking out environments that are known for their supportive atmosphere can be incredibly beneficial. Find friendly English conversation groups, practice with encouraging friends, or join online communities where fostering confidence is really a shared value.
Yes, absolutely. Build that foundational confidence back up in safe, nurturing spaces first. Then, gradually and strategically, you can expand back into more challenging communication scenarios when you feel ready.
Okay, wow. We've explored a considerable breadth of insights today, haven't we? From mindset to body language to specific tactics. What's your overarching message, the main takeaway for those listening who aspire to speak English with greater fluency and confidence?
My main message is this. Confidence is not some state you passively wait for, hoping it arrives one day. It is a muscle. It's something you actively develop through consistent action. Every single time you engage in English, even if it feels imperfect, even if you stumble, you're actively strengthening that confidence muscle. Every word counts.
And remember, truly, every essential tool you need to commence this journey is already within you right now. Perfection in grammar or accent is absolutely not a prerequisite. What's truly required is simply the courage to begin. Just start.
So our recommendation, our challenge to you, is to select just one principle or strategy we discussed today. Maybe it's adopting that power pose before a call, or consciously reframing your internal self-talk when you notice negativity, and commit to integrating it into your upcoming week. We consistently observe that even the smallest, most consistent shifts yield truly remarkable long-term transformations. It adds up.
And we genuinely want to hear about your personal confidence journeys. Please share with us one brave action, however small, you plan to take in English this week. Let us know in the comments below.
Yes, please do. And if this discussion today has resonated with you, please consider sharing it with anyone else you believe would benefit from hearing this message. Confidence is remarkably contagious. When you step forward and speak boldly, you implicitly empower others around you to do the same.
Absolutely. And make sure to subscribe to English Life Skills Hub and perhaps enable your notifications. We're here every week offering new strategies and insights to help you not just learn English, but truly live with confidence in English.
Remember, always, your voice matters, your ideas hold significant value, and your English, even if it's not yet what you perceive as perfect, is absolutely more than capable of being heard and understood. It's good enough right now.
So until next time, speak boldly, speak confidently, and always remember, you've absolutely got this.
This has been English Life Skills Hub,
Keep speaking, keep growing.
and we'll connect with you again next week.
Bye, everyone.